don't do it. Don't go for self-publishing. Just don't do it. If you have questions like how to self-publish your book, how to find a book editor, how to copyright your book, how to upload it on Amazon KDP, how to market your book, how to get readers to review your book, why is no one buying your book? I have a few of these questions too. Like, how do you get readers to review your book? After last week's video on the different publishing options you have, I got quite a few direct messages on my Instagram asking exactly these questions, and these are great ideas for my videos, and I'll be working on getting them out in the coming weeks and months. But I had to make this video before I can start working on any other videos. Self-publishing is hard. It's not for everyone. So let's talk about it. If you're new here, hi, I'm Pooja, and on this channel I talk about writing, self-publishing and productivity. So click subscribe to follow my unpredictable writing and publishing journey. When it comes to self-publishing, we can look at it two ways. One is doing everything by yourself, the true indie way, and the other one is hiring professional publishing platforms, self-publishing platforms to take care of the publisher aspect of self-publishing. Now, no matter which way you go, you are responsible for the book at the end of the day. If you're on the fence and you're not sure whether to go for self-publishing or not, whether it's the right option for you, I hope today's video is helpful. And if you do find it helpful, do give it a thumbs up. That's how I'll know that this video is helpful to you. On my website, I also have a few things that might come handy, so do check that out. So listen, keep this in mind. This is just my experience, and everyone is going to have a unique experience self-publishing their book. Usually people think that self-publishing is the easier route to take because there is no gatekeeping. No one really stopping you from publishing your book like it would be in traditional publishing. But you have to keep in mind that when it comes to self-publishing, you have the added responsibility of the publisher. Usually the publisher looks at a manuscript and evaluates to see if it is viable, if it makes business sense, if it makes sense to invest money producing that book. And that decision is taken by a set of people who are good at making that decision. You as a self-published author have to make that decision for yourself. Every story is worth telling, but not every story will get published. I have a whole folder sitting on my computer of story ideas, scribbled notes, some outlines, and even a couple of fleshed out stories, which I don't think I'll be published. When I started writing them, I had full intention of publishing those works, but I don't think I will, at least not in the current state. That's a decision I'm making not as a writer, but as a publisher. You have to put on different hats when you are performing the different activities within your self-publishing business. When it comes to putting on the publisher hat, you have to do some risk analysis, look at things from a business point of view, do a little bit of market survey, find out whether there's a market for the kind of book you're writing in, what kind of covers go with the genre that your book belongs to. You have to do all that work. You have to find out if your book has a market, what should be an acceptable budget for your book, how to finance, how to think about return on investment, how many copies you need to sell to break even, marketing decisions, where you're going to promote your book, how you're going to promote your book, what is going to be the budget for launch, and what is going to be the budget after launch. There is just so much you have to think about. And that's why indie author business plan is so important. It may seem like a useless task when you're sitting down and thinking about the business plan and why the hell are you doing this? Let me tell you, it is important. I just sat down and redid my indie author business plan 2 weeks ago. And I was so surprised with the things that I came up with while I was doing that activity. So I cannot emphasize enough, because you can really benefit as a publisher if you have a laid out business plan. And if you're serious about creating your own indie author business plan, there's a template on my website that you might find helpful. I'll leave a link to that in the description section. Self-publishing requires a very, very different mindset. You have to be a creative and think emotionally about your story, and then be completely detached from your work and think as a business person. And that is not everyone's cup of tea. Of course, you can teach yourself to be like that and think like that, but that will take time, and you have to be aware of it and go in knowing that with every emotional pang that you feel when you are taking a decision. You have to know that you are teaching yourself to think differently when it comes to producing your book. If you want to know a little bit more about the mindset and how you have to think differently, I did a video and I'll link it in the description. I'm not a big risk taker and I talk about it in my videos. I don't have a frat money sitting somewhere that I can just pick up and dump it on self-publishing my books. I have to be mindful that every rupee, every penny that I'm spending on one aspect of my book, that means I don't have that to spend it somewhere else. I don't have an appetite for risk, and it shows in the way I produce my books and I market my books, and I am okay with the results I get from that. So go into self-publishing knowing this, knowing what works for you, what does not work for you, and have your expectations set that way. When it comes to the budget you have for your book, know that it'll differ from every book that you publish. It'll differ from different genres that books are published in. It'll differ from the other authors. So know what you're getting into when it comes to self-publishing and how much money you are able to put in. You don't have to match someone else's amount. You have to do that analysis for your own book and for your own situation. The next thing that I want to point out is the publisher's perks, and there are a lot of them. You have the full control of your book. Now, if you go with self-publishing companies, I don't know how that works. I don't know how much control you have then, especially if you are publishing your books under some packages which then define exactly what they'll be doing for you. But if you're doing it the indie way, the DIY way, hiring experts yourself and working with people and getting exactly what you want, then you have complete control over your book. That's not to say that self-publishing companies won't do exactly what you want, but when you're going with a self-publishing company, you have to know exactly what you're going to get. The creative control, the publishing control, you decide where your budget is going to be spent, and you can push in as hard to market your book to the maximum. You can just keep all your budget just to market your book. You can do that. You are the boss, you get to decide. So that's the biggest perk. And with that, you'll be making mistakes. It's okay to make mistakes as long as you're not repeating them and you're learning from them. The important thing is that have some sort of a system in place so that you're able to capture all this data. When you are in the position to create a marketing plan, you can look at this data and then decide what to do, and you can learn from the mistakes you've made and avoid them the next time around. The most important thing that you have to keep in mind when you are self-publishing your book is that you have to be a professional. You have to do what's right for your book, and if something is not working out, you have to step in as the publisher of your book, but still do it professionally. Now, the next thing that I want to emphasize on is if you are not the kind who can dig in and find answers by yourself, it's going to be hard for you to sustain your self-publishing business, your journey, because you will not have everything placed in front of you. Of course, you can have someone teach you everything in the form of a course or something like that, but you have to still be jugadu that way. You have to find out things by yourself and not wait around for something to come to you automatically. You can get a lot of paid courses that will teach you all these things, but you have to understand that the publishing industry, especially the self-publishing industry, is rapidly changing. And if you are planning on to get into the audiobook market, there is so much that you have to constantly keep learning about and keep up with the industry, that even if you pay someone to teach you everything, you have to continue to put in the time to keep learning about the industry going forward. What I did to launch my first book in 2015 is not what I'm going to do now this time around when I'm going to launch my next book, because the industry has changed as well as I have learned so much more since then. So you have to keep learning and keep up to date with what's happening in the industry. That goes with no matter which industry you're working in. So the publishing industry is no different. There's a whole lot that goes into self-publishing because it's not easy. Anyone thinks that self-publishing is the easier route, you're mistaken. If you need help, head on to my website where you'll find more resources. For now, check out this video and I'll see you in the next one.